As the boyfriend of a top designer, there has always been a magnificent wedding dress displayed at home. He said it was personally designed by him for his beloved. It wasn't until half a month before our engagement that I found 100 letters he wrote to his first love that I realized his beloved was not me. In his eyes, his first love was a bird soaring in the 9 heavens and should not be confined to someone like him, who is destined for stability. The wedding dress was both a gift and a farewell. Later, I set that wedding dress on fire and left the home where I had lived for 5 years without looking back. Bring out the most expensive wedding dress in your store. When Jackson's gentle voice came through the curtain, I almost thought it was my imagination. Half an hour ago, we had agreed to go to the wedding company together to finalize the wedding details, but he said there was an urgent matter at the studio, halfway, and left me by the roadside. Bored, I contacted my best friend to look at bridesmaid dresses. Unexpectedly, I ran into Jackson at the same bridal shop, standing next to his first love, Lily. I stared in disbelief at Lily's face. Half of her body was pressed against his, intimately close. Boss, it has to be the most expensive one. He has plenty of money. Jackson lowered his eyes to look at her, a tenderness on his face that he had never shown me before. It turned out Jackson had never forgotten her. Jackson patiently accompanied Lily as she tried on one wedding dress after another. He could never have imagined that just beyond the curtain stood his fiancée, who had recently gotten engaged to him. I, too, wore a thin wedding dress in a self-tormenting way, listening to their flirtatious banter. The past that Jackson had deliberately hidden was completed through Lily. Before, I only knew that Jackson and Lily had a very close first love. After graduating from university, Jackson stayed in Beijing and Lily went abroad. Now, I finally understand that the reason Lily went abroad back then was because Jackson couldn't keep her. The beautiful woman in a wedding dress threw herself into the man's broad arms. If I hadn't gone abroad to pursue my dreams back then, would I be the one marrying you now? Jackson opened his arms and gently pushed her away. Lily, I already have a fiancé. I'm only here today to help you fulfill your wedding dress dream. Unwilling to give up, Lily took out her phone. Then do you dare say this wedding dress wasn't designed for me? Every detail on it matches exactly what I described back then. Jackson, in your heart, there's clearly still a place for me. The eyesight I once took pride in became an accomplice. It turned the wedding photos on the screen into a sharp knife stabbing fiercely into my eyes. On the way home, my best friend touched my forehead. Why is your face so pale? Has your Jackson not taken good care of you? Is your stomach problem acting up again? I am a model. I once took on many side jobs to earn money for my mother's treatment to maintain my figure for the shows. I often controlled my diet and frequently attended drinking parties. Over time, this led to stomach problems. After being with Jackson, who never cooked before, he started figuring out stomach-friendly meals and took care of my diet and routine. He always said no designer doesn't cherish their muse. But today, he left me by the roadside for Lily. When my best friend received the call and rushed over, my hands and feet were numb from the cold. I leaned on her and said, I'm not getting married. How about we run away together? My best friend touched my forehead again. You don't have a fever. Why are you talking nonsense? If I dared to run away with you, your Jackson would chase me to the ends of the earth. Everyone knows how much he treasures you. Besides, you've been with Jackson for 5 years and finally made it official. I don't believe you'd be willing to give that up. Jackson's kindness to me is well known. 5 years ago, he rescued me from the abyss. If it weren't for him, I don't know what state I would be in now. But whenever I think of Lily's face, a sharp, dense pain spreads through my heart. I have liked Jackson for 10 years. Today, I suddenly realized that I seemed to no longer be able to like him. The first thing I did when I got home was to head straight to Jackson's studio. Opening the door, a dazzling array of clothes came into view. These clothes were all designed by Jackson for me. I have tried them all on, except for one. The wedding dress that Lily mentioned. Unlike the other clothes casually placed around, it was carefully protected under a large glass dome. The wedding dress was adorned with tens of thousands of small, valuable diamonds. These diamonds sparkled brilliantly under the light. In comparison, the other clothes paled in significance. On the day the wedding dress was first completed, Jackson took a photo and posted it on social media. Late at night he wrote, "Your one and only love." At that time, we had been together for 3 years, and my best friend was adamant that this wedding dress was definitely a gift for me. Now thinking back to how my heart fluttered then, I can only laugh at myself. I circled around behind the glass cover. The view expanded in that untouched territory. There were piles of empty bottles and some scattered letters. In my memory, Jackson never drank. When Jackson came back, I was sitting on the cradle on the balcony. He hurried upstairs, and his first reaction was to glance at the direction of the wedding dress. Only after seeing that the veil hadn't been touched did he feel at ease and come over to me. "Why are you sitting here? It's windy. You might catch a cold." I said nothing, tightly clutching the letter I had just found in the palm of my hand. There were at least 100 of these letters. The earliest was dated when Lily went abroad. He regretted that he wasn't capable enough to keep Lily, and he also blamed Lily for no longer contacting him after she left the country. After we got together, the number of letters gradually. The most recent one was written a month ago, back when we had just gotten engaged. Jackson wrote in the letter, "You are the phoenix soaring in the 9 heavens, and I, a person by nature steady, am destined not to hold on to someone as free-spirited as you. When you get married, I will personally deliver the wedding dress as both a gift and a farewell." I remained silent for a long time, and Jackson gently lifted me up. "Nancy, let's go downstairs to bask in the sun. Your health isn't good. You shouldn't be exposed to the wind." The sweet's cloying scent on him made me feel a bit nauseous. I pushed him away and pointed toward the wedding dress. "We're about to get married. When are you going to let me try on that wedding dress?" The man was momentarily stunned, but remained gentle. "Nancy, the wedding dress still needs some alterations. I don't want you to wear something half-finished." I forced a bitter smile as I let him hold me and walk away. Late at night, I removed the man's arm from my waist. I got up and picked up the phone by my pillow. What came into view was my selfie, and the password was my birthday. Half an hour ago, Lily sent him a message. "I will only wear the wedding dress you personally designed for me." He replied with a simple okay. It turned out it wasn't that it wasn't altered properly, but that his heart was unclean. If that's the case, I want neither the wedding dress nor the man. I stayed awake all night. When Jackson woke up and saw me sitting by the bed, he hurriedly covered me with a blanket. "Still upset because I didn't let you try on the wedding dress? I just wanted you to wear the best one. Didn't you say you wanted a flawless wedding so that Uncle Spirit in heaven could be at peace?" I stared into his infinitely gentle eyes. "Jackson, do you still remember what you said when you proposed?" He answered passionately, "Of course I do. I, Jackson, will cherish you for a lifetime, never deceiving you for all my days." I've lost count of how many times Jackson has deceived me since Lily returned to the country, or maybe he has been deceiving me from the very beginning. Or perhaps my meeting with Jackson was never a blessing from God, but a catastrophe tailor-made for me. I stroked Jackson's deep brows. "I love you too. How wonderful, Jackson. I lied to you once as well. The boss of the company I currently work for is Jackson, and I am a model he personally promoted. I was thinking about how to secure my fallback before the contract ends after our breakup. When I turned my head, I saw Lily. She was following Jackson, her face wearing arrogance. The man's indulgent expression froze the moment he saw me. Lily came over before him and playfully said, "You must be Nancy, Jackson's fiancée. I've heard a lot about you. I'm Lily, who grew up with him." My gaze fixed on her coquettish brows and eyes, my fingertips cold. Jackson reacted and explained, "Lily just returned to the country and has no job. The assistant position at the company is vacant. Nancy, you will understand me, right?" Lily laughed. I said, "Of course I understand you. And I grew up wearing the same pair of pants. It's straightforward and open. If we were meant to be together, we would have been already. Nancy, you've been with Jackson for 5 years, so you definitely know him better than I do. I still have to learn from you. Lily is clearly a year older than me, yet she deliberately calls me sister." I avoided her hand and walked into the workspace. Jackson also came in, and the staff nearby wisely left. He crouched in front of me, and when he looked up, he panicked. "My fault, Nancy. I shouldn't have come in without saying hello. I thought you wouldn't mind. I looked at myself reflected in Jackson's eyes, both red-rimmed. I actually cried. Maybe it was because I hated so much. I knew I should stay calm now, but whenever I thought of Lily's face, I couldn't calm down. I don't like her, Jackson. I don't like her. Let her go. Hearing my blunt expression of disgust for the first time, the man was somewhat stunned. After realizing, he slowly stood up. I'm sorry, Nancy. I promised the elders of the Lynn family that I would take good care of her. Once she finds another job, I'll let her leave, okay? I neither nodded nor shook my head, tears falling. Sarcastically, Jackson remembered everything about Lily, whether it was the wedding dress or the vows, but he completely forgot the vow he made to me and all the promises he made to my father. I really want to know if Jackson knew that his first love was the daughter of the person who ruined my family. Would he feel more disappointed or more guilty? Jackson deliberately tried to make it up to me. He bought expensive jewelry and sat beside me, carefully choosing the honeymoon destination. I was disinterested, and he cupped my face. Nancy, after we get married, I'll have her leave the company, okay? His bottom line lowered again. Unfortunately, I no longer cared. I had already contacted another modeling agency, and they agreed to pay my breach of contract fee. The condition was that I had to go abroad to refine my skills for a year, which was perfect since I didn't want my mother to find out about Lily's existence. Since Dad passed away, her mental state has been unstable. I quietly arranged everything, but I never expected Mom to run into Lily at the mall. She fainted from the shock. The moment I got the call, I rushed downstairs, my heart in turmoil. I immediately called Jackson, but he didn't answer for a long time. On the way to the hospital, Lily updated a series of photos on social media. In the photos, she wore the gorgeous wedding dress that Jackson had carefully treasured, her face full of happiness as she linked arms with a man, finally fulfilling a childhood dream. The man's face was deliberately blurred out, leaving only a tall silhouette. I zoomed in again and again. When I clearly saw the engagement ring on the man's ring finger, my heart skipped a beat. In an instant, my mind flashed rapidly to the time after Dad died when 12-year-old me was held tightly by Mom, collectors smashing our rented home to pieces. Through the gap, I saw a happy family photo of us on the table. This photo was originally meant to be taken to the new house once it was renovated. However, the photo had been developed for less than 2 days when Dad had the accident. There was a collapse at the construction site where he worked, and including my father, 6 people died in total. The debt from the new house weighed like a mountain on this already shaky home. My mother, along with the families of the other victims, camped outside the Lynn Group, demanding compensation, but the group refused to pay, blaming the construction team itself for the problems. The tall buildings couldn't block out the scorching sun, and the loud cries of small children failed to awaken any conscience in the wealthy. At 12 years old, I turned my head just in time to see 13-year-old Lily stepping down from the nanny's car. She was dressed in the uniform of an elite school, with a bodyguard carefully holding an umbrella, afraid she might get sunburnt. When our eyes met, a trace of disdain flashed in Lily's gaze. When Jackson arrived at the hospital, my mother's condition had already stabilized. I didn't ask why he was dressed so formally. He kept apologizing, and I was afraid he would wake my mother, so I pulled him away. Seeing my calm face, he became very anxious instead. Nancy, can you say something? I'm worried when you act like this, he said, worried that I would cancel the wedding. I half joked, and Jackson's face turned pale. I wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Don't worry, I won't cancel the wedding. On the way to the hospital just now, I figured everything out. I can't keep hiding abroad with Mom forever. Sooner or later, she will discover the truth. Besides, the one who is wrong, the one who is guilty is not me. Why should I be the one to hide and run away? Not only can I not leave, I must stay proudly by Jackson's side as his fiancée. I will give everyone an unforgettable wedding. Lily's post was deleted in less than half an hour after it was posted. Clearly, Jackson's doing. He acted as if nothing had happened, staying at the hospital to personally take care of Mom for 3 days. Every nurse in the ward praised him as a good man. He thought I didn't know. Little did he know, not only did I know, but I also saved it. During the time my mom was hospitalized, I often saw Jackson hiding from people to make phone calls. Just by looking at his expression, it was clear that Lily was giving him a hard time. Perhaps out of guilt, he never left the hospital from start to finish, even though Lily was particularly unhappy. Mom didn't understand and thought I was angry at Jackson. She took my hand and placed it on the back of his hand. "You're about to get married soon," still throwing little tantrums. Jackson must have urgent matters that kept him from coming. He's been busy running around these days. Don't you want to say something? Mom, we're all family. Nancy's matters are my matters too. Hearing Jackson call her mom. I'm like that made my mom overjoyed. I looked at this harmonious scene, a pang of sadness flashing through my heart. My mom didn't know that when she collapsed and convulsed in the mall, her content son-in-law had just finished taking wedding photos with the daughter of his enemy. Jackson also didn't know that every penny spent by the innocent and pure first love in his eyes was soaked with the blood and tears of laborers. I pulled my hand away and walked out of the ward. Jackson followed closely. Nancy, you haven't been paying much attention to me these past few days, just like Auntie said. Are you still angry? I shook my head. I'm just a little tired. After all, there's still a lot to prepare for the wedding. Mentioning the wedding, Jackson's eyes softened as he wrapped me in his arms. Nancy, have you decided where you want to go for the honeymoon after the wedding? I smiled and said, I haven't decided yet. Why think about something that could never happen in the end? Jackson chose the island for our honeymoon himself. He proudly showed me the photos. I remember you once said you wanted to settle on this island, so after the wedding, we'll stay here for a while. I looked at the photos of the beautiful, peaceful island far from the hustle and bustle. It was indeed the ideal place I had once dreamed of settling down. But at that time, my mother's mental state was particularly poor. She often said she saw Dad coming to visit her. The doctor said my mother needed to recuperate in a place far from the city's noise. After much consideration, I finally chose this island. For this, I desperately saved money just to take my mother away. On the day I reunited with Jackson, I took a wealthy client's order wearing a thin swimsuit. I performed a fashion show for the rich, stuffing wads of cash into my swimsuit. The numbness on my face angered a wealthy businessman who forcibly pinned me down on the sofa. As I struggled fiercely, he slapped me hard and threw me into the pool. It was then that Jackson appeared. He jumped into the pool to save me, wrapping me in his coat and taking me away. In the car, he asked me the name of the club. My face turned pale, knowing he thought I was a hostess at some club. I grabbed his sleeve and explained that I was an invited model. Although this explanation seemed very weak and unconvincing, I still wanted him to know that I had always been holding on to my dream of being a model. The second time we met, I was already an applicant at Jackson's studio. He recognized me and complimented my runway walk. Later, I successfully got the job and gradually became his girlfriend. As we spent more time together, Jackson said I was his muse. Every time he saw my face, endless inspiration would burst forth. After we got together, he saw photos of me as a child, and was surprised that I used to be a chubby little girl. Seeing the unfamiliar look in his eyes, I was sure he didn't remember helping me chase away those who bullied me in the park. If it weren't for him, I might have long given up on my dream of modeling. I looked at Jackson's gentle face and nodded. Let's choose this one anyway. I wouldn't go, so it's the same no matter what I choose. With the wedding date approaching, Jackson was busier than ever. Perhaps seeing me so idle, Lily actually came to find me. She arrived at the cafe before me. The sunlight shone on her, giving off a sense of peaceful times. Unfortunately, soon enough, this peace was about to be shattered by me. At first, she was polite with me. Jackson and I grew up together, so logically, I should have prepared a meeting gift for you. But I returned to the country in such a rush that I didn't have time to prepare. You wouldn't mind, would you? I was too lazy to pretend with her. Is the meeting gift the wedding photos of you and my fiancé? The smile in her eyes froze, and she instantly grew confident. It seems you already know everything. I suppose you also know who made the wedding dress I'm wearing in the photo, right? To be honest with you, if it weren't for me, Jackson would never have become a designer. He only became one because I like wearing beautiful dresses. If you have any sense, You should take the initiative to break off the engagement and say you don't like Jackson. I spoke before Lily could. What if I don't have any sense? A cold glint appeared in her eyes. I have plenty of ways to deal with you. The one who isn't loved is the mistress. She wasn't willing to waste more words on me. As she stood up, it seemed she suddenly remembered something and curled her lips into a cold smile. Oh right, apologize to your mom for me. I didn't know that crazy woman was your mother. Ah. Warm coffee splashed onto Lily's face. The brown liquid dripped down her hair and bag. Her scream attracted quite a few onlookers, but I didn't stop, raising my palm and swiftly slapping her face. Let's see who punishes him first. Lily covered her face and took 2 steps back. You lunatic. Just you wait. I looked at her, thinking to myself, I will indeed wait. Waiting for the day you are ruined with nothing left. When Jackson came back, I was already asleep. In a daze, a rough warm hand slipped into my pajamas. I woke up in shock and quickly turned on the light. In Jackson's eyes, there was still lingering desire and dissatisfaction. Nancy, it's me. I pressed my lips tightly, but he forcibly opened my palm, not knowing what he was looking for. Before I could get impatient, he finally let go. Nancy, nothing happened today, right? Of course, I couldn't tell Jackson that I had beaten up his ungrateful first love. I shook my head, ready to go back to sleep when he clung to me again. Nancy, I've already arranged for Lily to be transferred to another department. If nothing unexpected happens, she will resign after we get married. If something unexpected happens, you two will still be inseparable, right? Nancy, that joke is not funny at all. Jackson furrowed his brows, suddenly grabbing my head and pressing it against his lips. He was always gentle in bed, but this time the kiss was special. Lily was forceful and domineering, as if she wanted to dismantle me and swallow me whole. I pushed hard twice but couldn't move her. Fortunately, her phone rang at that moment. Jackson glanced at it briefly, his eyes darkening. As he continued, he clearly began to get distracted. The phone rang 2 more times insistently, and Jackson finally resigned himself to getting out of bed. Nancy, there's an emergency at the company. I'll come back later, he said. I murmured in response and wiped my lips. He caught the movement, his eyes dimming slightly. Nancy, am I really leaving? I decisively said. You should go. Nancy, it seems like you don't care about me as much as before. After leaving this inexplicable remark, Jackson closed the door. Outside, the floor-to-ceiling window showed car lights flickering, but Jackson was wrong. He didn't care at all. Who told him to betray me first? An hour later, Lily sent a photo of her and Jackson holding hands, fingers intertwined. The engagement ring felt like a slap across my face. I instantly sobered up and sent a message from my cracked phone. We're out at home. Don't forget to buy some when he comes back. The messages kept coming. For a moment, I felt like a bad woman, but the feeling of being a bad woman was so exhilarating. The wedding day is drawing ever closer. The time left for Jackson and me is growing shorter. It's as if he has realized something lately. He's been clinging to me more than usual, following me wherever I go. I am a person lacking security. I used to always hope he would give me all his time to be with me every moment. To others, it seemed I was more dependent on Jackson. Now that I have become indifferent, Jackson has become the one who is anxious and uncertain. Men, after all, only love you the most when you no longer love them. Every day, I record Jackson's daily life. The nutritious porridge he makes, the massages he gives me, the expensive gifts he sends. All of these I took photos of and posted on Facebook, only for Jackson and his first love to see. In Jackson's eyes, this was my way of showing love for him, but in Lily's eyes, I was provoking her. So every time I posted something, Lily would soon follow with a phone call. I often saw Jackson on the balcony, helplessly making phone calls. She was also good at choosing the timing, usually calling in the middle of the night. Her cries were faintly heard in the silent deep night. The more she did this, the more relieved I felt. Yet alongside that relief, I felt she was incredibly pitiful because Jackson never once went to find her. He dreamed of our wedding, carefully planning every detail. The thought that everything on the wedding day would turn into a sharp knife stabbing into him and Lily's chest filled me with a huge sense of anticipation. 2 days before the wedding, Jackson mysteriously took me to the design studio. The moment the red silk cloth was pulled aside, the wedding dress inside the glass case reflected in my eyes. He looked at me with deep affection and hugged me from behind. "Nancy, the wedding dress is ready. This is your one and only love." I broke free from his hand and looked at this priceless wedding dress. If it were me 2 years ago, I would surely feel joy, happiness, and excitement at this moment because back then, I constantly fantasized about wearing this wedding dress. But every time Jackson said, "It's not ready yet. Wait until it's completely finished before you wear it." How foolish I was. I actually believed him for 2 years. "Open it," I ordered Jackson. He thought I wanted to try it on, and immediately pressed the button. The glass cover slowly rose. Once again, I took a step closer to this precious wedding dress. I touched the delicate and intricate lace on it, and the tiny diamonds scratched my fingers. Jackson affectionately pulled down the zipper at the back of my dress. His voice was soft as he said, "Nancy, I have worked on this wedding dress for 5 years, and now I finally have the chance to see you wear it. Didn't Lily already wear it before me? Isn't this her one and only love?" The zipper got stuck halfway. The small diamonds reflected Jackson's stunned expression. Soon, the stunned look turned into horror. Jackson pulled me back. "Nancy, the lighter in my hand flew out." Unfortunately, he was a step too late. The more carefully something is preserved, the easier it is to break. The flames grew rapidly, with scorching fire petals falling one after another. Jackson's eyes were bloodshot as he furiously beat the flames with his coat. However, it was to no avail. This dry-stored wedding dress was like paper when it met fire, igniting at the slightest touch. Thick smoke from the blazing fire billowed toward the ceiling. It was as if my love of the past 10 years was vanishing into smoke and mist. I curled the corners of my lips, feeling boundless joy. The fire was eventually extinguished, but the wedding dress was already burned beyond recognition. Hard diamonds scattered among the ashes, shining brilliantly as if reborn from the flames. Jackson turned to look at me, his eyes red-rimmed, filled with confusion, shock, pain, and disbelief. He pressed firmly on my shoulder. "You already knew. When did you find out?" I replied calmly, "A month ago." "Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you ask me? I suggested you fire Lily, Jackson, but you were unwilling." Jackson took 2 steps back, his face pale. "So you endured all this just to burn that wedding dress, right?" I nodded. "Yes, I don't want to use something that's been used by someone else. It's dirty." Jackson's face lost all color, trembling as he touched my face. "Nancy, tell me you still love me. You still love me, don't you?" In his longing gaze, I curled my lips. "Jackson, what do you think?" Jackson ran away. He rushed out like he was avoiding a venomous snake. That day was also the first time I didn't post anything sharp. As Lily is, she quickly sensed something was wrong. By the time she painstakingly found Jackson, he was already drunk out of his mind. Less than a day until the wedding. Yet the groom was drowning his sorrows late at night. Happily supported Jackson to the hotel, knowing this would be her last chance. Little did she know everything was under my control when I received Lily's photo. I was at the nursing home with my mother. Expressionless, I glanced at the lipstick mark on Jackson's face. In the photo, the scale was too small. I teased Lily a few more times. As expected, she sent back photos with a bigger scale this time, featuring both her and Jackson. Of course, I knew that with Jackson that drunk, nothing could possibly happen. But I achieved the effect I wanted. "Nancy, did you have a fight with Jackson?" "A mother knows her daughter best," Mom asked. In my silence, she sighed. "No matter what you do, Mom will support you." I didn't tell her about the harsh reality, fearing her old illness might relapse, so I changed the subject. Mom took out her phone and chatted with me casually. She has a group chat called Hope Always. The group consists of family members who have been advocating for rights since the landslide accident. As time passed, the adults who once fiercely fought for justice have gone through many hardships and rarely mention those days anymore. But the children in the group have grown up. Mom, wearing her reading glasses, pointed at a photo. A middle school student held the photo. "Do you still remember this little girl? She was just a month old when her father had the accident. Life was even harder than ours, but now the little girl is working so hard. Her grades are excellent, and she even told her mother she wants to be an engineer like her father someday. And this one, he's a top journalist who still hasn't had a girlfriend. His mother is really anxious about it. Mom slid out another photo. The man in the picture was holding a camera, his gaze resolute. Then Mom kept pulling out more and more photos, one after another. They were all children of the victims back then. And now each of them has their own job. Some became journalists, some became hosts, some entered the government, and some joined companies. They all went their separate ways, but advanced rapidly along a straight path. I only left after Mom fell asleep. Once in the car, I sent all the photos Lily had given me to one person, preparing to raid the internet cafe. Thinking of the resolute and determined photo on Mom's phone, I sent another picture. If you fail again this time, will you give up? The other party replied instantly, success will come eventually. I looked up at the bright moon hidden behind dark clouds. Success will come eventually, though the wounds have healed, the scars remain. Over the years, we have walked alone, bearing countless scars, never daring to forget for a moment. Now the day has finally come when the clouds part and the fog clears. When I got home, Jackson was already there. He didn't ask where I had been late at night. I didn't ask about the clothes he was wearing that I had never seen before, nor the suspicious red marks on his neck. We understood each other without words, sharing the same bed but different dreams. I was waiting for tomorrow's wedding. I waited to personally plunge the blade into him and Lily's bodies. That was what he was waiting for. I didn't know I was so eager that I couldn't sleep all night. Jackson also looked haggard. When the first light of dawn spilled into the room, he held me and said, "Nancy, you still love me, right?" I said nothing and he went on. I only agreed to her taking wedding photos because of the friendship we had growing up together. As for that wedding dress, I swear she never wore it. When I made that dress, you were the only one on my mind. At this point, Jackson is still lying to me, but am I not lying to him as well? All the talk of loving him, getting married, the honeymoon, it's all fake. I just want him and the Lynn family to get what they deserve, to suffer eternal damnation. The wedding countdown has begun. The makeup artist, the bridesmaids, the bride, all preparations are in place. Despite repeated pleas from the best man, Jackson still refuses to leave, standing at the door of the makeup room, staring fixedly at me, afraid that I might disappear the next second. I won't leave. I'll stay until the climax of the wedding. Reflected in the mirror is my best friend Sophie's calm face. For the first time, she didn't tease or joke. I remember the first time we met. My mother once again took me to attend a meeting for victims and their families to discuss rights protection. Sophie and I are the same age. We sat face to face, yet there was none of the innocence and carefree spirit typical of people our age. She suddenly asked me, "Do you miss your father?" I nodded. She nodded too. I miss him as well. The day he left, I hid in my room and didn't come out because he couldn't make it back in time for my birthday. In the end, he could never celebrate a birthday with me again. Sophie whispered in my ear, "The car is already outside, and Auntie is waiting for you at the airport. You should go. Leave this place to me." After finishing my makeup, the host came over to check the schedule with me. From others' perspective, it was hard to see, but his eyes glistened with tears. "Sister Nancy, I finally waited for the day to seek justice for my uncle. His name is Aaron. Orphaned at a young age, he was raised by his uncle and has always been more mature and precocious than his peers. On the day his uncle met with an accident, he had just scored full marks on an exam and was about to go home that evening to share the good news with his uncle. The wedding began. I stood in a white wedding dress, watching the door slowly open. The scene of this wedding was far more grand than I had imagined. Besides famous celebrities from the entertainment industry, many high-profile figures from the circle were also invited to the wedding of the international model bride and the top designer groom. Many reporters and photographers, cameras in hand, crowded at the outermost edge, flashes going off endlessly. As I walked toward Jackson, I sensed a burning gaze from the crowd. Lily's determined smile was fixed on. Her face smiled. "All you want, soon you will be able to." Jackson reached out his hand to me, eyes full of deep affection. "Nancy, I have finally waited for this day. I have finally waited for this day. The moment I placed my hand down, my gaze turned to the big screen on the stage. That screen was much larger than any other wedding venue screen. When customizing it, Jackson once asked why it was made so big. I didn't answer. Only something big enough could let everyone present clearly see the sins of him and Lily. It was as if someone pressed the pause button. Everyone held their breath, their expressions equally shocked. By the time Jackson, confused, turned his head, it was already too late. The intimate photo of him and Lily on the big screen could no longer be withdrawn. Lily's provocative breathing echoed throughout the venue. "Nancy, Jackson is mine. You'll never take him away." He realized something and turned around. "Nancy." Reporters and cameras instantly surrounded him, until he was no longer visible. I lifted my skirt and rushed toward the main gate without looking back. The moment the gate opened, Sophie smiled radiantly. I looked at the familiar face among the crowd of reporters. It was the very photo my mother showed me that day. Our eyes met, and he silently said, "Thank you." The fierce wind whipped across my cheeks, and the heavy skirt seemed about to take flight. I took off the heavy crown and slammed it onto the ground. The one who saves the princess is not a fragile promise that bursts like a bubble or an uncertain night. It is the princess herself. 1 week after the wedding incident broke out, as Netflix stirred up the heat on this scandal and began digging into Lily and Jackson's past, some small media outlets revealed a landslide accident from over a decade ago that had been forgotten. The families of the victims back then, holding their ID cards, once again raised the banner of rights protection. This time we want all the victims to rest in peace, knowing justice has been sought. The heat dropped sharply. Major entertainment accounts and video channels all reposted and voiced their opinions. A large number of netizens rushed to the Lin Group and local government to angrily demand a reinvestigation. Under the powerful internet attack, local authorities finally reopened the investigation into that accident. Lily's parents and all those involved in the landslide incident at the time were arrested for investigation. In the end, Lily's parents were sentenced to 10 years in prison. All assets were confiscated, and bankruptcy was declared. Lily fled the country overnight, but now she had no power or influence, was notorious, and burdened with so much debt. Even if she left the country, life would not get much better. Other participants were also convicted one by one. Government departments also underwent a thorough inspection. Netizens celebrated as if they had won a great victory. After settling abroad with my mother for a month, I met Jackson after the wedding. His reputation in the circle plummeted. The studio and company he founded quickly fell into a crisis of trust. The doors of the fashion world were completely closed to him when the company I currently work for presented him with a termination agreement. He signed it without a word and did not ask for any compensation. He only wanted to know where I was. Sophie was there at the time. She vividly imitated Jackson's tone on the phone, saying that he knew he was wrong. He just wanted to apologize to you properly in person, and hoped you would give him another chance. I was amused by Sophie's tone. When I hung up, Mom was sitting on the sofa, video calling people in the group chat. Laughter and joy occasionally came through the phone. So Anto's child scored high again, so Anto got promoted, and someone else was in a relationship. After the clouds cleared and the sky brightened, everyone was thriving and getting better and better. Holding a cup of hot tea, I walked to the balcony and casually glanced downstairs. My gaze fixed. In October, Canada was already falling heavy snowflakes. That person dressed in a black coat stood under the streetlight as if unaffected by the cold. They lingered for a long time without leaving. I told my mom I was going downstairs. He was wearing a mask, and the moment he saw me, he turned and walked away. I stood there and called out, "Jackson." The man froze in place. After a long moment, he turned around. His hair and eyebrows were frosted over, and his eyes were filled with bloodshot red, looking very desolate. I stared at him calmly. Just as he was about to step forward, I took a step back. "Please don't show up again. I don't want to tarnish my mom's eyes." Jackson's gaze was piercing, and he timidly stepped back 2 steps. A choked voice came from behind the mask. "I'm sorry, Nancy. I didn't know about what happened back then, and I didn't know the Lin family treated you that way. She never wore that wedding dress, really didn't." Jackson, speaking as if he had no strength left, knelt on the ground, tears falling onto the snow. Nancy, can you give me one more chance, please? I looked at him coldly. Don't expect me to kneel. I'm afraid I'll die early, Jackson. What I've always cared about isn't the wedding dress, but the fact that you've been deceiving me all along. It's you who clearly still can't let go of Lily, yet came to provoke me. It's you who left me several times for her. It's you who swore at my father's grave to take good care of me, yet betrayed me. Jackson, what right do you have to earn my forgiveness? My voice was very soft. Jackson tried several times to get up but fell back down in a mess. Amid the passing crowd, he looked up at me with bloodshot eyes. Nancy, you still loved me, didn't you? It's not as the world says that you got close to me for revenge, right? What do you think? I curled my lips and turned back into the building. The moment the door closed, Jackson fell to the ground, motionless. I lied to him once again. Until I saw Lily at the bridal shop. I was full of hope about marrying. But when I saw Lily's face, I knew it was impossible for us, whether Jackson truly betrayed this relationship or not. No matter who the wedding dress belonged to. It didn't matter because Jackson was rotten. The wedding dress was rotten too. I returned home, and my mother had just finished her call. From afar, I saw her sitting on the sofa, knitting a sweater. It was exactly like the scene I used to see when I came home from school as a child. It's just that Dad was there in that scene. He usually stood nearby, picking vegetables or fiddling with his radio. I stepped forward and nestled into Mom's warm embrace. Just like when I was a child, Mom stroked my head and asked, "What's wrong?" "Nothing, I just missed out a little," I said. Mom said, "Your father is surely watching us from heaven." I closed my eyes, breathing in the comforting scent of Mom. In my mind, Dad's hearty laughter seemed to ring out. The laughter and images have already faded with age, but my mother and I will continue to live well. We will add fresh new colors to the faded scenes.